We talk about Auburn's biggest needs and concerns on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Let's go. What's up, Auburn family? I'm your host, Dustin Smith, joined as always by my guy, Blake Lane. Hope everybody's week is off to a good start, man. We're going to get in here tonight and talk some football, Blake. Talk about the offseason's here and what can our Auburn Tigers do to get better on the field. And I'm going to go the route tonight, Blake, of I think a lot of what Auburn needs to do is get better off the field. But first off, man, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Dustin. Just had a great day, man. Just kind of going with the vibes, man. And I feel like the vibes are high for Auburn University right now. Big time basketball game tomorrow night.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's been fun on Twitter seeing some of the Gumps and their comments and everything. I mean, there's going to be an electric atmosphere inside of Coleman Coliseum, and not because of the Gump fans. It's gonna be because the barn is coming, brother.
Yes, sir. Take over.
The barn is taking over the airplane hangar tomorrow night. All right. Can't wait for it. We were gonna go live, and Dustin and I we were talking about going live for it, but we're gonna hold off on that just because we're gonna be, just so into the game and everything. Yeah. But look for me Saturday. I'll go live for that one. And knock that out for you guys, and come join me, come get in the chat and everything. We'll have a blast, man. But Dustin, I'm ready to talk some Auburn football, brother.
Yes, sir, for sure. Y'all guys look out for it though. Like Blake said, Mississippi State game, we will be going live. The chat will be open up for our members only, but all y'all can come in there and hang out with us. So, yeah. But let's talk some football, man. Real quick, I wanted to get over here and say what's up to the people. Our guy Chris getting in here. Brandon is in here. Our usuals. Brad saying, "War Damn Eagle, everyone. Where can I find that shirt, Dustin?" I don't know, man. Mom, grandma, girlfriend, one of the ladies in the live got this one for me for Christmas, so had to throw it on. Glad you like it, though. Our boy Trevor's in here. Good deal. T-Rex was something that Blake says often. Be patient.
Yeah, it's a virtue. Patience is a virtue.
Blake preaches it. Be patient, baby. The weakest links has got to find a QB. All those new receivers are great, but do no good if we can't throw them the ball. Yeah. I hear you, weakest link. What I'm going to do is I'm going to circle back to this one here as we get into our discussion a little bit. Because first I wanted to it was too much to put. Here we go, Blake. I got the quote. We had a recruit come in this week, and he gave us kind of an insight. 4-star cornerback out of Buford, Georgia, Devin Williams. I'm getting this quote off of auburnrivals.com, Caleb Jones' article. He talked to Devin after his visit, had a whole bunch of guys come in this week. And we're going to have, here later in the week, we'll have a recruiting episode that we had originally planned to have last week, and really going to get in and talk about kind of what all happened this weekend. Man, I think we made some big moves and some big-time recruitments. But this Devin Williams, this 4-star cornerback out of Buford, he comes in, and I have his quote, Blake, because I thought it was interesting. He kind of said something that Hugh was telling the guys, and we've kind of heard that this has kind of been what's going around lately. And I thought it was pretty telling into kind of what Hugh's strategy is here this offseason. So he said he was telling me about the culture of the program, how he doesn't like to grab guys out of the portal. He liked to do it through high school recruiting. He was big on cultural and not just jumping in the portal after 1 year. That is Devin Williams, a 4-star DB out of Buford, Georgia. And I thought that was interesting, Blake, because – when Hugh first came in, we kind of saw the heavy action in the portal, right? We really went after a lot of guys, especially you look at the offensive line. I think that's because Hugh came in and he saw what it was. He looked at the film and he said, okay, I have to completely redo this offensive line. I have to fill holes here and fill holes there. I need to get guys at linebacker, Larry Nixon, and find guys where I can. He tried. I know that he missed with the Shane Hooks and the Jair Shoulders and those kind of guys, but he looked at receiver and said, man, I got to try to get some guys in here, some bigger body guys with some experience. This year, it seems to have kind of been toned back a little bit. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. One, I think because now he's been able to get in his first full class. And obviously he had the pieces that he was able to steal there at the end of last class with Falk and Lou and some K and Lee, some building blocks that played this year early. But now getting in his full class this year, he's saying, okay, I really got some guys. So he doesn't have to do it just by the numbers as much. But also, Blake, and I want your opinion on this, I think Hugh looked at it and said, hey, this portal stuff is hard for the culture. It's hard for the culture because I'm bringing in guys that, for whatever reason, they might have different motivations, right? Guys that have only played, they might only have 1 year of eligibility left, and they may be only looking out for them. And what he's trying to do is get guys that can come in from the high school ranks early and build that culture. And we see it with the guys like Walker White, the Cam Colemans, the Perry Thompsons, the guys that are excited to be at Auburn and be a part of what's going on. So just kind of what did you think about this quote and Hugh's strategy moving forward, kind of looking at how he wants to build this program?
Yeah, I love this quote. And you remember last year when we hit the portal really hard, and there was kind of a narrative that was spun about some of the players were like, hey, new coach coming in, he hits the portal, and he's just steadily hitting it, bringing all this new talent in. And then everybody was saying, oh, well, maybe Hugh Freeze doesn't believe in this guy. Maybe he doesn't believe in this guy. And then maybe that could have caused some locker room problems. I don't know. But I like this quote because it's showing that we are taking a different route than most nowadays. And we are going the high school route and building something. All right. Because now we're in a time where you can just up and leave and go anywhere. Perfect example, TJ Finley on his fourth school. All right. The kid is on his fourth school, and you know, you got to start building depth. It's depth when you go into the high school ranks. When you go into the portal, dog, you're not creating depth because guess what? Like I just said, you're going to go to the portal. You're going to get a guy. He's going to play for you a year, and then he's going to bounce the next year and go somewhere else. That's just how it is. And so I think Hugh has put an emphasis on going to the high school ranks, learning a kid, building a relationship, saying, hey, I want you here for the next 3 to 4 years. And I want you to be a part of the Auburn family. Because I think a lot of times, man, when you do go to the portal, not many guys come in and learn Auburn. They don't love Auburn. They're just here to show out a year and go wherever else they can the next. And so, I know everybody's wanting to find a quarterback and hit the portal for a quarterback, but Dustin and I sat here months ago and we said, hey, look, probably not going that route. Now, after the bowl game, I said, it's a little sketchy now. But still, at the end of the day, bodies are flying off the board in the portal at quarterback, and we still haven't went that route. So that says something with what Hugh Freeze is doing, and it says something in what he believes in, Dustin.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking on the quarterback, I'm not sure. Again, we've said this 100 times, but I just don't know what's out there. There's just not a layup
Yep.
out there. There's not a home run where it's like, okay, the NIL and everything else makes sense. And as we know with Auburn, the degree has to line up. It's hard to make it all work, man. So it's not, unfortunately, it's not the Xbox. It's not like you can just say, okay, press this button and do that there. And I've heard that example used a lot with Ron Roberts, is how people look at it and say, hey man, this worked on the field. But it's not a video game. There's real people, relationships are involved, and all that kind of thing. Our guy, the Ohio podcast, saying hello, Dustin and Blake. Hit that thumbs up, everyone. Reminding everybody, hit that like. What's up, buddy? Appreciate you coming in here with us. Speaking on QB, our boy Michael says, I just want a legit open competition at QB, and whoever is really the best on the roster needs to play. But I would like to add a transfer to add to competition. Yeah, Mike, I agree with you. And I'll kind of use this to transition into my point here as to what I want to see, because I have a couple of things. What I want to see transpire this offseason. The first thing I want to see is the culture. And really no need to even elaborate on that. Me and Blake have talked a lot about kind of what the issues are inside the locker room and just guys not playing as a team, man. I think that right now you have a perfect example at Auburn in front of you with the basketball team of a good culture, a good locker room, and how that can translate to on the field or on the court success. And that's the first thing that needs to happen. But speaking on QB, like Blake just said, I don't anticipate a guy coming in the portal. We'll see. We did bring in Peyton in that spring portal period. So we'll see. But as of now, I don't really see a guy out there. I don't see this option where it's like, okay, so what I want to see, guys, I want to see somebody step up. And I'm kind of if it's Peyton Thorne, it's Peyton Thorne. But I think Peyton Thorne is what it is. I was never too fired up for Peyton Thorne when he came, and I'm not now because I don't. It just is what it is. Like, I think that he can be a serviceable to good quarterback with everything around him, and I do think that he's going to have more talented receivers this year than he had last year. But all these guys coming in, they're still freshmen. So how much can I expect from Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, Malcolm Simmons? How just will all of those guys be ready year one? Probably not. We've watched a lot of football. We know it usually doesn't work like that. One or two of them will be ready. I kind of tend to think it's going to be Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson. We are hearing, though, good things about Bryce. I do think Bryce will be able to get on the field. When you got speed like that, you can definitely, just burn it. But there's going to be some guys, bro, where it's just going to take some time. I don't like you got Rivaldo, you've got Jay. I know you brought in Robert Lewis. I mean, there's some stuff there, but I just don't know if it's enough for Peyton Thorne, man. So I'm looking at Hank Brown. Man, I want that to be real. Let that be real. I hope it wasn't just garbage time. Let that be real. Holden, it's now or never for you, brother. If you're going to be the starting QB at Auburn, if you're Holden, time's running out for that. Step up this spring because we've heard all the time. We hear, hey man, Holden was the best one at the scrimmage today. Hey man, the pro day he lived it up, threw it better than Cam Newton did. Like all this kind of stuff we hear about how great he is at throwing the ball. Put the whole thing together. That's what I want to see, Blake. I want to see somebody in that QB room, preferably one of those two guys, Holden or Hank Brown, come in and say, I'm that guy. Now, I know that everybody is going to say, well, Walker White. And boy, I'd love that. Because if Walker White can come in as a freshman and win the job, then I think we got something on our hands for the next 2 or 3 years, right? But I think this year is going to be the redshirt year for Walker. You would like to be in situations in games like New Mexico State where you're actually blowing them out and you can get him the reps and and you use those 4 games and that whole deal that the NCAA made there. So for me, Blake, I'll start there on the offensive side. That's the first thing I want to see because I know where we stand with receivers now, right? Like I kind of know what guy. I think Caleb Burton's gonna step up. I kind of know what Jay Fair is. I know he's a tight end, but we know we're going to get receiving production out of Rivaldo. We know that Robert. Well, I say we know, but we have good film on Robert Lewis. I think he can come in and be a productive player. And then we have a bunch of freshmen, so we kind of know like, okay, there's that. We know what we got at running back. There's some things that need to be answered offensive line, but for the most part, I kind of know what that's going to be there. We know it's going to be a Hugh Freeze offense and all that kind of deal. Who's going to be the signal caller? That's going to be my thing. And if it's going to be UPT, then because here's the thing that kind of I was thinking about this morning. The thing that drives me crazy about PT is I got 2 PTs. I got the one that stepped out of bounds 3 yards shy in Baton Rouge, and I got the one that trucked old boy in Fayetteville. So which one's it going to be? Because I can deal with the missed throws, Blake. I can deal with that because everyone's going to miss throws. That's fine. But the inconsistency of the mindset, that's what has drove me nuts. I need the dog version of Peyton Thorne if you're going to be the guy. And if not, Hank Brown, Holden, somebody step up. Somebody in that QB room step up and give Auburn University competent QB play. Is that too much to ask?
No, it's not. And look, I'll be honest with you, and I know everybody is high on the Walker White train. I am myself. All right. It's just extremely hard to ask a guy straight out of high school to come in and play right away in the SEC. It has happened very few times. All right. And everybody that comes in the comments and says, well, Bo Nix did it. All right. Well, Bo Nix also went to the Swamp and absolutely struggled. All right. Bo Nix went to Baton Rouge and he struggled. All right. Like it's tough. Bo Nix, he missed that throw against Georgia, the 4th and 2. And if he hits that right there, we probably score and tie that game up. There's just growing pains with a true freshman at quarterback. I'm high on Walker White. I thought he played just incredibly well-rounded quarterback play in that All-Star game. I mean, I thought it was just the future is bright. The arm talent is electric. So, like you said, Dustin, with PT, all right, I know his receivers didn't help him out a whole lot last year, but it was a mindset thing, bro. Like when they would put the camera on him sometimes, he would just look like he was completely out of it. Like there's no dog in there. But then, like you said, you see him in Fayetteville and you see him truck a guy, and you're like, okay, well, there's something in there. There's something in there. But what I need to see is I need to see you fourth and four, 4th and 5, whatever it was, and you step out three yards out of bounds in Baton Rouge. Nah, dog, I don't need to see that. All right. Now, granted, he made a couple throws against Georgia that if we got a playmaker out there that comes down with it, we can win that game. All right. But I want somebody to step up, and I want it to be an actual competition this year because like I always said last year, I never felt like it was truly a competition. I never felt like it was Robbie, Holden, and Peyton. I always felt like it was Peyton and then Robbie and Holden for QB2. I just never felt like Peyton was in jeopardy of losing his job, even though when it come out, oh well, Peyton played the worst in the scrimmage today. Right, it was posted on all the sites. Peyton, he didn't play well in the scrimmage. He threw 2 picks here and everything, and the whole time I come on here and I said Peyton Thorne is the starting quarterback. Period. Like he just come in and he didn't transfer here for no reason. Now, as far as going to the portal for a quarterback, Dustin, like a lot of quarterbacks are going to enter in that spring window. Right? You're going to have guys go through spring ball and they're going to realize, hey, I'm not starting. Let me get up and get out of here. All right. So what happens when you do bring a portal quarterback in? All right. I know a lot of people believe that Holden's going to bounce after that spring. All right. He doesn't win the job, he's going to bounce. A lot of people believe that. All right. Yeah. So if you bring another guy in, you're running into the same situation as PT ran into. He's got 2 to 3 months. All right. And what? He's going to step on the field and light it up. I mean, you're going into the same situation. And so do you run it back with PT? Do you give Hank Brown a shot? Hank Brown looked good in the bowl game. It looked like everybody else loved him. You hear Perry Thompson on a Twitter space the other night that Perry Thompson believes in Peyton Thorne. Hank was 100% garbage time. That could be true as well. You know, I mean, he was facing a soft zone and, nothing over the top, everything underneath. And, look, I just don't believe Auburn is going to the portal and getting a guy for 2 months and then making him the starting quarterback, just like they did last year. And I also think NIL has to play in it too. I think we're in a day and age of college football where you pay a kid NIL money, and it's like the NFL. If a guy signs a 5-year, $150 million deal, he's going to get more opportunities than the guy who signed a 1-year deal for $20 million. I mean, that's just how it is. And, I think that holds weight.
Yeah, I agree with you. P-Pass said that the flaw with PT is he can't get you back in a game down 17, and I think that's what we've seen. It's a front runner thing, right? You look at Vanderbilt, you look at Arkansas, you look at Mississippi State. These are games where Auburn got out early, and he continued to look good. I know that he threw the pick six versus Vanderbilt and kind of recovered, but ultimately he just it just kind of seemed like wherever the momentum was kind of going, that was the way that he was going. But I will be fair. You look at that Bama game, he never really had time to throw the ball. And then Georgia game, like Blake said, some receivers make some plays. That game does look different, but it's just the inconsistencies. And like we said, it's really the mindset thing there. So whoever it is, man, I just want them to figure it out.
And another thing, Dustin, I see Brad's comment down here, and I like this too, because there was a lot of times we wanted to throw everything on PT.
This one?
Yes, sir. There was a lot of times that we wanted to throw everything on PT, and we wanted to just say, oh, it was Peyton Thorne's fault. It was Peyton Thorne's fault. Man, I don't know if y'all watched that offensive line in that Texas A&M game, but it was bad. It was bad. Mm-hmm. All right. And it wasn't always PT's fault. Now, was he, the best thing since sliced bread? No, absolutely not. But I can tell you, like that back shoulder throw against Georgia, Malcolm Johnson Jr., look, Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman, they come down with that football.
Hmm.
It's a different game, probably a different outcome. All right. And look, even you can even go point to that game, the 4th and 5. All right. Jay Fair, you got to catch that ball, dog. Like, I know it's high. All right. But I can tell you somebody who wants to catch that ball, and that's Bryce Kane. That's Malcolm Simmons. All right. They want to catch that football. They want to be on the field to catch that football this year. So, you know, it's tough. It's difficult. Everybody keeps making the jokes of who's going to throw him the ball, who's going to throw them the ball, and everything. I can also say that having elite wide receiver play can make his job a lot easier. When you're able to throw a slant or a bubble screen, or you know, and a guy take it to the house. We have that now at Auburn. I know they're young, but we have those freaks at the receiver position. Man, Dustin and I, we went all the way to Foley this fall to watch Perry Thompson and Bryce Kane play each other. And when I tell you those two kids are absolutely electric, Bryce Kane ain't getting near the love. Kid's been playing football for 2 years. And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this about Bryce Kane. Last year, I went and watched him. All right, his junior year. Absolutely torched Theodore. Theodore played Saraland in the semifinals last year. Absolutely torched Saraland's D, Dustin. All right, wide open, drops the football. All right. Struggled all year catching the football. Just had a rough year. Elite speed, separation, all that, great. The jump that he made from last year to this year with 1 year of playing football under his belt, incredible. Dude is elite, man. He's elite. And I know it's going to feel good watching a kid like that, man, when he catches a slant and he's able to split that secondary and take it to the house. That's going to be electric.
Yeah, it's something that we have not had in a long time. And the Ohio podcast says Marvin Harrison Jr. covered up a lot of issues on Ohio State's offseason this year. It's a fact, bro. Sometimes, like I made this point, I went and watched Cam Coleman a couple times, and I made this point about the kind of like not necessarily comparing their play styles, but in the sense of like a Mike Evans, in the sense that, bro, you can look at Mike Evans and he's had Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jameis Winston, Mike Glennon. Yes, there's Tom Brady in there. Is it a coincidence that Baker Mayfield just had his best year as a pro with Mike Evans? Probably not. Like, a receiver, yes, the quarterback has to get you to the ball. A receiver is a position that is really dependent on a lot of things going right, but there are game changers out there at that position as well. And I think that Auburn's recruited a couple of those. I think that Cam Coleman is definitely one of those. I think that Perry Thompson can develop into one of those relatively quickly. And then Bryce Kane is that guy where it's like, I don't think Auburn's ever going to ask Bryce to have 50, 60 receptions a year. It's going to be those 2 to 3 times Bryce touches the ball in a game. And I'm sure he'll have days where he's eating, but in those times where he touches the ball, it could be a house call every single time. It's just like that. And it's funny because, I watched almost this entire class that we brought in. Only one I didn't get to watch live in high school this year was Malcolm Simmons, and then obviously went to half of the Auburn games, and it's just different, bro. It's just different. I'm just like the guys that we brought in at receiver versus the guys that are on the roster right now. It's just a different skill set, and it's so yes. To your point, Ohio podcast, I think that Marvin Harrison is that kind of guy. And I think for the first time, Auburn has truly recruited and brought those kind of guys in at the receiver position. And I think, the cool thing is the offensive line. I know there's still work that's got to be done, but like, I think the one thing we can't say about Jake Thornton is the development. I think that offensive line, I think he got the most out of those guys last year, Blake. There were some rough patches. There's no excuse for what happened versus New Mexico State, especially on the offensive line, defensive line as well. But overall, man, I think that the offensive line did make a big jump. And so I'm looking at the offense as a whole, and I'm just like, all right, man, if there's a quarterback that can just play just above average, he doesn't have to light the world on fire. But with our backfield, And with Hugh Freeze calling the plays, with there finally being some kind of continuity on the offense and identity, knowing what we're going to do, if you can just protect the football, make the open throws, and then, to the point earlier about the problem with Peyton Thorne is when we're down 17, we're kind of out of the game. Yeah, we need whoever it is, Thorne, whoever it is, Holden, Hank, Walker. It got to be a dog, bro. It's got to be. There's a reason why. I say it all the time about Auburn. Like when we don't make the big plays in these big games, you can kind of put that sentiment to the quarterback room as well, right? And at some point, somebody's just got to come in and say, I don't care about the all-time stats. I don't care about the narrative. Auburn is not where the passing game goes to die. I'm going to be the guy to change that. And who is it going to be? But I'm hoping that the guy's on the roster. And I'm hoping that ultimately that guy's Walker White. But man, if you're Peyton Thorne, can you be the guy this year to bridge that gap and get us there and at least give us consistent above average quarterback play? And I don't know, Blake, mess around and have a winning season? Would that be too much,
Look, if we don't have a winning season this year, boy, that would be gut wrenching, man. I don't even want to think about that. That would be 4 straight years. And then, the questions would start to come about, but hopefully we don't have to get into that because I believe that we do have enough talent on this roster and the way the schedule pans out, man, and just getting those home games early on. I think that we're set up to possibly have a chance to be undefeated going to Athens, Georgia. And I know you get Oklahoma at home, and that's going to be a huge game. We'll be there, I'm sure. But they got a guy that he's young, he's inexperienced. He played the bowl game. He didn't look great. So, you're asking him to step in and play inside of Jordan Hare, probably going to be one of his first big road tests. And, I just think you have an opportunity to win all those games at home. I think you have a great opportunity to sweep Cal. And, I think it could play out in our favor next year. But like all these things that we mentioned, man, the offensive line, getting a guy like the Percy Lewis kid from Mississippi State, that's absolutely huge. All right. Look, I know Dustin and I made a little comment that sometimes going to the G5 and getting guys to come in might not be the best thing. But now you just went and got a tackle from Mississippi State who's played a ton of football, all right, who is highly regarded at his position, all right, and people say, hey, this dude's a baller, all right,
right,
and that also allows you to move people around on your line. Dylan Wade moving him to guard, then you got Connor Lew who stepped up, and I mean, people are saying that he could be the best center in the SEC next year. So it looks like the pieces are coming together for you to have a pretty damn good offensive line. So I think you got to be excited about that. We know what the running back room is going to do, like you mentioned, man. I'm looking over here in the comments and seeing that Kentucky is getting blasted. So
I hate to see it.
Yeah, Coach Cal, he poor fella, hate it for him. But Dustin, I'm excited about just really diving in for A-Day, man. Diving in for these spring practices, getting this quarterback competition figured out, and then looking over at the defensive side of the ball. You lost Donovan Kaufman, Cam Riley. How are we going to replace some of those pieces?
Right. Yeah, we're about to get over on the defensive side. Real quick, when you're talking about offensive line, you talk about Connor Lew coming back, being the best center. Me and you have heard, it's really not even a secret at this point, about the progression that Tyler Johnson, the freshman out of Louisiana, made this year. And we've been told, hey, he's probably going to start next year as a redshirt freshman. So now I'm looking at that and I'm saying, cool. You're starting to see the guys that we've recruited out of high school starting to fill in and take spots. And that's where we need to get on that offensive line. Back to where it's guys that we recruited out the high school rank, blue chip prospects that are developing. And, because we all know how bad the offensive line recruiting got. I would make the argument, Blake, that it's a big reason why Gus Malzahn got fired. And then Harsin just didn't address it. He was like, we'll run it back with these guys. And it kind of led to what we've all seen on the offense. That's where our troubles have started over the past 4 or 5 years of the offensive line. And we've kind of arrived at this point on offense. But that's where it all went wrong, bro.
I agree 100%, man. That was truly the downfall of Gus. And I want to say one thing, Dustin. I peeped these comments over here, and everybody keeps wondering about Ryan Williams. Look, Ryan's from my city. I'm going to support the kid. I think he's the best player in the country. I don't give a damn what On3 or 247 or Rivals has to say. I've watched him multiple times in person, and I think he's the greatest. And I think he's program changing. All right. That's how damn good I think he is. I mean, it's just point blank, period. All right. He's electric. He can do everything. And as far as I'm concerned about the trolling, man, he's 16 years old. And what would you do if you were in that situation? You would troll just like Ryan Williams is trolling. All right. And one thing I'll say about this is he just canceled his visit to Texas. And everybody keeps saying Bama or Auburn, Bama or Auburn. Look, when I break it down, Dustin, we're talking about the receiver position. Yes, we have dudes. All right. We got Cam Coleman. We got Perry Thompson. We got, the fantastic freeze fours, you want to call them right now. All right. But this cat is program changing, dog. And he's different. They basically told him, hey, you need to get out of high school football. You're that good. Like, you just need to go ahead and bounce, bro. Like, you're back-to-back player of the year in the state of Alabama. Never been done before, folks. Never. All right. And he did it. 15 years old, 16 years old. All right. When I look at his recruitment, Dustin, he's always said relationships matter. What happened at Bama? Saban retired. Holman Wiggins leaves for A&M, and T-Rob leaves for Georgia. So those were his relationships. I know him and Mbakwe are huge friends, and that's cool. But guess what, man? You got Perry up at Auburn. You got Cam Coleman at Auburn. You got Bryce Kane, another Mobile boy. All right. You would have 3 Mobile boys in the I almost called them the Fab Five, but I think they could be better than the Fab Five. I think they could actually win a championship. But the Freeze Five, you could have 3 Mobile boys in the Freeze Five. So you got Trevon Reed, you got Marcus Davis, one of the best at what he's doing right now, man. The relationships are there. Hugh Freeze, he could pick Bama, Dustin, but one thing that I get kind of tired of seeing is well, I don't even want Ryan Williams because I'm sick of this. Like, dog, that is absolutely mind-blowing that you would turn down the best player in the country because he's taking his time until his birthday. Okay, like, the man wants to sign on his birthday, dog. Let him do whatever he wants to do. Like I said, he's 16. That's just how it goes. He'll never get this opportunity again. But to sit here and say that you just don't want Ryan Williams anymore is absurd to me. That is, I don't get it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I know that we haven't been here in a while, but this is big boy recruiting. This is the way it goes. You're up there with the big dogs, man, and you're gonna have guys that you're gonna have guys that commit, and then we saw it with Perry, right? Perry was locked in, and then it came that final time, and Bama made that one final push, and we had to secure that one. That's the way it goes. You're up here with the big dogs, man. And when you look at that, when you look at the top 10, we're the only team up there that had a losing record. So, we're up there. We're really having to sell a vision as these other teams have a vision and a proof of concept. So, look, just be happy that I'm not saying like just settle. Me and Blake definitely aren't second place, just settle kind of guys, but be happy that you're in this battle. And, every time when an article comes out or some kind of post that's Ryan Williams to Bama, we'll see how it goes, man. Like, we continue to tell y'all, like, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. Let's just see. We'll see.
Let me tell you something about when he does an interview with Bowl. All right, Bama Online for any of you that don't know. Do you really think he's about to get on Bowl and say, "Oh man, I really wasn't impressed with the new coaching staff. I
Right.
really didn't. It didn't really fit me. I'm sorry." Yeah, that's not how it goes, man. It's you got to deal with the media, dog. Like you got to get up there and show yourself and be a great representative and say, "Hey, man, I enjoyed my visit. That's awesome."
Yeah.
So take all the words. The biggest thing is people send me, "Oh, he was wearing an Alabama jacket." Dog, I don't care. Like you're paying attention to what a 16-year-old kid is wearing out in public. That's weird. Like,
Yeah.
like take all of that and let it go. Stop worrying about it. When he signs February 9th, we will know.
Yeah, for sure.
Period.
So we're about to get over here and talk about the defensive side of the ball, what we'd like to see. But before we do, shout out to our guy Chris, who gifted 5 memberships tonight. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate you, brother. And speaking of these memberships, real quick, Blake, I wanted to, like we talked about for Saturday, we are going to have the live stream of the Mississippi State game for our members, and then also, brother, real quick, tell the people what they can get if they sign up.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you sign up, $3.99 a month, JV Squad members only live chat. We'll probably be doing that one Saturday on the live stream for the basketball game. Member shout outs. You guys get in here in these super chats. The chat, Dustin gets it rolling. We'll shout you out. Early access to videos. I usually drop that on Friday. I'll post it late Thursday night, and you guys can watch it early Friday morning before we go live at 10. And then for the $5.99 a month, Varsity Squad, Dustin hammering the recruiting update videos, the game day group chat. I feel like we stay in there every day. It's not we just need to take the game day group chat off,
Right.
Dustin, because it's just a up tempo group chat because we stay in there every day and we love it. The gameplay with you, NCAA, if it ever comes out, get with us. We're Xbox and we can chop it up on the sticks and then watch the film, man. The Auburn baseball team, if you haven't seen what they are producing on social media, go check it out, man. This atmosphere is going to be absolutely electric. We're going to break down a lot of stuff with baseball this year. Don't leave us just because football and basketball ends, man. Stay around for the baseball. It's going to be electric.
Yes, sir. Yeah, me and Blake are definitely fired up for the baseball. We are going to have a lot of access to the program, and we're really, really excited to bring some of that
Mm-hmm.
content to you guys. But looking over here to the defensive side, bro, I'll tell you right now, Blake, right now, my biggest concern is the middle of that defensive line.
Yep.
If there is any way that some options come available in that spring portion of the portal, we need to go get them, bro. With Rogers going pro, with Marcus going pro, it really leaves us in a spot where, man, there's going to be some freshmen that are going to have to step up, some young cats who are going to have to step and find production, but there's just not a lot of bodies there. I mean, I'm looking at Jason Jones saying, bro, you got to be a guy now.
Yeah.
And, a guy like Reed, the freshman that we brought in last year, who got hurt and kind of put some of his progress back, probably would have got on the field some this year. And then you look at Case Keys and Trill Carter, like they were brought in to be depth pieces. Right now, I'm like that top part of that depth chart, really in the middle of that defensive line, Blake, it worries me. Looking at the edge, I'm okay because it's young pieces. I mean, we've been saying, hey, next year we might only win 7 games. But I'm okay if I'm looking, then I see a whole bunch of freshmen and a whole bunch of sophomores out there, then I can deal with it. So I'm okay with Jamonte Waller and Joe Phillips, taking their lumps out there at the edge. I'm cool with that. But I am worried about the interior of that defensive line. Looking at the second level of linebacker, I'm not concerned because, again, I know what it's going to be. I don't really have, I mean, we know what Eugene is. We kind of know what we have there in some of the older guys, but I really like the young guys. I think that DJ Barber is a guy that's going to be able to step in and play. People rating him a 3-star. It's criminal, dog. That one to me is just straight criminal.
Go back and watch the state championship game against Saraland. Tell me he's a 3-star.
Just turn on the film, bro. That you're worried about 40-yard times and this kind of stuff a little bit too much with a guy like DJ Barber. Turn on the film. The boy drinks that tackle if you okay. That boy drinks that tackle if you. And then you look at DeMarcus Riddick, who we heard day 1 bowl game practice. Hey, this kid's making waves. So it'll be young. There'll be growing pains, but I'm okay with what will happen at linebacker. The same thing at the next level in the secondary. I know Charles Kelly and Crime Dog are gonna get the DBs right. There's a lot of young talent there. Yes, we're losing DJ, and yes, we're losing Jalen and all that kind of stuff, man. And that sucks. But you do have Keontae coming back there to help. And then I'm so excited about the young talent, the Sylvester Smiths and those kind of guys. So really for me, Blake, it's the defensive line. And it's defending the run over 4 quarters. It's really the interior of our defensive line that I'm looking at right now, saying this offseason we got to find a way. Either some of these young cats need to step up and be dudes, or we need to go find at least one. I would like 2 guys out of the portal where I can say, okay, at the very least, guys that we plug in and feel like they can start and be kind of productive. Ain't got to be Marcus Harris or Rodgers at this point. You're probably not going to find that in the portal, but somebody that can come in and bridge the gap to us while some of these young guys, the TJ Lindsays and those kind of guys, get their feet up under them. And Keldrick Falk, by the way, I don't want to leave him out. It looks like Keldrick is probably going to kind of stay, moved in on the inside because I don't know if the boy's ever going to stop growing.
Dustin, I'm sorry, man. I'm looking over here at the comments, bro, and people are saying, "What do you think about the basketball game?" We'll get to that in just a minute, but I looked down and just seen Barn by 100, and I'm loving it. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I can't disagree on this because Dustin's speaking facts, right? Let's be honest here. We know what we're going to be in the secondary. We know, we're going to be young at some spots, but you got Kayan back and everything, and you got Keontae coming back. And even though you lost DK, I don't think it was that big of a deal. You got the kid from Texas that's transferring in for a year. Yeah, well, we're going to be fine in the secondary. At linebacker, we're going to be fine. I just really look, like Dustin said, man, at the middle of that defense, we're going to see how much Marcus Harris really meant to this football program. And we're going to have to find it in the portal. I know everybody, like we said earlier, everybody's so strung out on a portal QB. No, that is not what we need in the portal. We need to go to the other side of the line of scrimmage and look for some studs in the portal there. All right, because it's been different watching Auburn get slashed in the run game, because like we always talk about, we grew up on Auburn just being absolutely nasty up front. I mean, just go back in the days, man, the 90s and the 2000s and even the early 10s, we had some dogs come through Auburn. And we've still had dogs recently, but it's been different, man. The depth hasn't been there. We used to have pieces. Now it's just 1 or 2 guys up front, and that's not Auburn football, and we got to get back to that. So when when that Harbaugh signature goes down and that Michigan roster opens up, I hope my boy Hugh is ready. I hope he goes up there and he picks and he plucks out of that Michigan roster, and I hope he gets some damn talent down to the Plains. Because it's coming, and look, tampering, it happens. It's happening. It's going on, man. Come on, you're foolish if you don't think tampering is happening. But look, Harbaugh, once he moves on, somebody else, well, I don't know. I'm not going to say somebody else has to leave to take the Michigan job, because I think they're going to hire the guy that coached in, as they call it, the game, or, the second, third best rivalry in college football, in my opinion. So maybe an LSU roster doesn't open up, because I know a lot of people think Brian Kelly would be a great fit at Michigan, but there will be a roster open up. So what is it? Think we'll get any players from Michigan? I mean, I hope. We need something in the portal, Dustin. We need something.
Yeah.
I think Harbaugh's out of there. I think it's a done deal. So their roster opens up for 30 days. So I think we could at least entertain it. We'll probably get a visit, and they'll probably sign somewhere else, like Jazzy said. Jazzy Joe.
Yeah.
He said that today.
Yeah. Jazzy is definitely a real Auburn fan. And like us, man. He's been through it, like all of us. He's been through it. So
Yeah.
Jazzy, I definitely feel your sentiments. I would the big thing to remember. Let's say that this does happen because it looks like Harbaugh is going to take the Charger job. And then, like Blake said, same thing that's happening to Bama here, where for 30 days, those players have the option to enter the portal because their head coach left. I think, what you see a lot. Antonio Kite is a good example where relationships play a big part in that. So I don't know off the top of my head if there's anybody at Michigan that has a relationship with Jeremy Garrett or anything like that. So it'll just kind of be, we'll kind of see how all that goes. Got some of you guys' comments over here that I wanted to get to. Let's see. My guy Chris saying game day group chat is worth the membership price. That other people do that I know of. Yeah, every day. Like Chris said, for our members, and on the thing we have it listed it as varsity, but our JV people, they're actually in the group chat as well. But yeah, me and Blake get in there every day, and especially the good thing right now is, you got recruiting stuff that's going on, the coaching stuff going on, and we're literally giving you guys updates, everything that we're hearing. So we're glad that you enjoy that, Chris. We appreciate you, brother. And then, yeah, Michael saying, get that varsity is worth it. Thank y'all, man. The Walker Show getting in and saying, I think my internet connection might have been messed up, but did I miss the Cove DC hire? Brother, we're still waiting, man. Listen, I got graphics and all kind of stuff ready to go. I don't even want, listen, dog, listen. It's coming. It does look like, though, we'll talk about it. It does look like it's going to be and Chris Kiffin, and then the DJ Durkin kind of name was surfacing around all weekend. It kind of heated up, right? And it seems like, just looking at the situation, it seems like Hugh was kind of waited till Chris Kiffin became available. He wanted to interview him, talk to him, kind of fill him out. So we'll see how it goes. I would say the two names that you're hearing is the same things that, me and Blake have kind of heard. And then I've heard that like Arnett's still a maybe, but as of right now, it's kind of like a distant third. But that's kind of where I've heard that the DC thing is sitting, and I don't really have a favorite one way or the other as far as Durkin or Kiffin.
The Arnett thing is like a fall off in recruiting, right? Like they just don't think that he can recruit at a high level. I mean, why? My whole stance on this is, why are we delaying? If it's Durkin, why hasn't been announced yet?
Right. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So like, if it's Kiffin, why are we waiting until the Texans lose, and then now you're still interviewing people?
Yeah.
Come on now. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but we'll find out soon. I mean, I don't think this thing drags out to Saturday. Let's be honest. Like, by Friday, we'll have a show, and it'll be about the DC hire, probably. I mean, I just don't see it going through any further, because these guys are on the road, man. They're recruiting the 25 class right now. You see it all over social media. Hugh and the coaching staff in high schools, and the head coach of Alabama, DeBoer, is wearing a Navy shirt that says Tide on it. Like, that's super weird to me, but I mean, but no, I think they got to make a decision before week's end.
I hear you. Chris says Bama fans calling him Julio 2.0, but why would a guy want that label? He'll be Ryan Williams 1.0 at Auburn. I'll say this: this kind of, Perry didn't really like the whole Julio 2.0. Perry kind of made it known, like, hey, when I'm Perry Thompson, and I'm going to do things my way, just because I'm kind of the same play style as Julio and went to the same school as Julio. I'm not Julio. I'm going to create my own path. So, and I would say that I've watched both these guys in high school. Ryan Williams and Julio kind of have a different game, in my opinion. They're not the same player. Ryan is much more electric with the ball in his hands. And that's not a knock at Julio. They're just different players.
Yeah. So, like, the thing that they were like trying to say, and it come out like comparing Ryan to Julio. What they were basically trying to say was Julio kind of jump started that Alabama dynasty, because he was the first guy to get on the train and be like, hey, here's Nick Saban's headlining recruit. Like, this is the one that'll be forever remembered, right? So Ryan could be DeBoer's like headliner, and he signed the best player in the country, and they said that we were going to fall off in recruiting and all of this stuff. But my thing is with all of this stuff, man, and Ryan gets brought up so much. When you go to Alabama, this is my pitch for Ryan Williams. When you go to Alabama, players they come in and out of there for the past 15, 16, 17 years under Nick Saban. They've come in and they've come out. All right. And there's just so many of them that, yeah, you get remembered, but you don't get a Cam Newton statue, dog. Like anytime Cam Newton comes back to Auburn University, you don't get that at Alabama. All right. Julio ain't got no statue. Only statue I see is Nick Saban out there during this dynasty. I don't see no player statue. Do you? I ain't seen one.
Hey,
all right. I just see some bricks laying in the ground on the Walk of Champions that say names and what year they graduated. That's all I see. So you can come to Auburn and you can be different, and you can pair up with the other four, and you can bring Auburn back to what it used to be, where Auburn is getting ragged right now, dog, on the offensive side of the ball. They can't score but 22 points a game on the offensive side of the ball. You could come and make it different, where Auburn is putting up 40 points a game on the offensive side of the ball. You can be that dude. And when you come back 10 years from now, you could have a statue sitting next to who?
Hey.
Who?
Big Cam, baby.
There you go. Hey, come on now. Bo. Cam. All right. Ryan Williams, he's that good, folks. Like he could win a Heisman. Yeah. I'm being dead serious. And that's what you could get if you come to Auburn. So that's my pitch to Ryan Williams. And me personally, I want him to go to Auburn because, like I said, I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I'm 251. I love this city. And to see 3 dudes out of the Freeze 5 be at Auburn University, man, I would be through the roof, dog. Like it would hit a lot harder for me.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because going back to the fall, everybody that watched the show, y'all heard me say I always was making the joke that Cam Coleman was a 6-star because I just never seen nothing like that up close. And it's the same thing with Ryan. Like Ryan's the same. Then I go see Ryan. I'm like, good God, dude, it's the same thing. They're different players, but I mean what I said about Cam Coleman when there's never been nothing like that play receiver at Auburn.
Yep.
If you pair that with another guy, there's never been nothing like that play wide receiver at Auburn, man. And Perry Thompson's right there on that level. He's right there. I would put Ryan and Cam a little bit above. But you always make the point, is that because Perry just wasn't given the opportunities due to the limitations on his high school team? We'll see. But it's listen, dude, it's good. It's a new day. It's a new day when it comes to outside wide receiver, and it took Hugh Freeze all of one recruiting cycle to do it. So
that's my point. Like me and Dustin were talking today, right? And everybody was online saying, well, why did Perry get dropped from a 5-star to a 4-star? Look, we went and saw Perry, 4 times, Dustin? 3 times, 4 times? We went and saw Perry 4 times this year. And y'all, I'm not down in a high school kid, so please don't take it that way. All right. But Perry just didn't have the quarterback. He was a sophomore. He just didn't have the quarterback to get him the football. All right. So, like we've mentioned on here before, they were having to motion Perry in the backfield and take handoffs. And it was just, they were having to run reverses and screens to him and everything. And so he didn't put up a lot of numbers, like he didn't have as many opportunities as other guys had. So I feel like that's why they dropped him. And that's ultimately why he didn't play in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, is because he just didn't have the numbers to do anything. And, I mean, hell, he played defense too. I mean, punt return, kick return. I mean, dude did it all for Foley.
Yeah, no, Perry's a stud, man. My Pops getting in here, Blake. I know Pops will show up if you talk about D-line now. It says that D-line has gone backwards since Gardner left, and it's hard to argue that, Pops. Dad, let me tell you something about my dad watching the game with him. That quarterback has longer than about 2-3 seconds to throw that ball, it's gonna get real colorful in the living room. And get the quarterback. Get the quarterback. That's what
That's a
Pops is all about. Gets to the quarterback. But hey, man, when you're getting crushed on third and long all season, when you can't stop a fourth and goal from the 31, I think a lot of that has to deal with you can't get to the quarterback. Our guy Chris says Jazzy is funny in game day. He's right though. Yeah, look, Jazzy. I love Jazzy, man. Jazzy's the best, and he is funny in the group chat. Tim Toolman Taylor says if Kiffin couldn't really interview until they were eliminated, it makes sense. That's all I can think of. Yeah, that's kind of just looking at the timeline. It's you just kind of add it up right, and you say, okay, even if it does end up being Durkin, it would just make sense to say it took this long because you wanted to interview Kiffin. You wanted to see how all that plays out. But here's the thing, too. Like, I know we all want it just because we're Auburn fans and we want to know, but it's not really pressing. Like, it doesn't have to happen by tomorrow. Like, we kind of
Yeah.
know the guys that are on the list. We know it's going to be one of these two guys, maybe this guy, right? You know,
Yep.
maybe a third. But we know about who it's going to be. The rest of the staff is in place. Whoever it is already going to be co-DC and probably will be given some kind of other, position to help coach out with. So it's just not this super. I'm not too worried about it other than the standpoint of like a content creator standpoint. But as far as a fan, like I'm cool if it takes till Saturday. It's just not that big of a deal, really. So taking your time and getting it right, I'm cool with that.
I think Hugh knows too. Like
Mm.
I think he already knows. It's just like
Yeah, these things
whenever
take
they get
time.
ready to announce it, man.
Yeah, and there's look, there's families involved. There's again, it's not just a video game. So sometimes these things might take a week or two. Like we knew it was going to be Derek Nix, and you saw it kind of take a week and a half, 2 weeks, just because of contract stuff and everything else involved. So there's a lot of stuff in play. Brad Browning says yesterday everyone was all but sure it was a done deal, but Durkin was that guy. Yeah, this is the thing, Brad. This stuff. Somebody can post an article on social media. Next thing you know, it's all the little fake insiders come out. And it's a done deal. I'm here and it's Durkin, and it very well may be Durkin, but yeah, if you are one of our members, and we kind of tell guys in the group chat when this stuff's circling around, me and Blake usually will pop in. If there's some truth to it, we'll tell you, hey, but a lot of times it ends up being, hey, pump the brakes. This is we're not sure yet, and it's funny how these fires kind of spread on social media. We're about to get out of here, guys. Get your last second comments in. If you have not, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Our guy 251 Alaska Albie checking in, saying Ryan Williams is coming to Auburn, canceled his visit to Texas. Bama is on the downtrend with this new coach and all the players leaving to Ohio State. Yeah, dude, I'm not as bold as going to come out and say Ryan Williams is coming to Auburn, but I'll tell you this, my friend, just if you just look at it, like Blake said, relationships and everything else, I like us. It looks good for us. And then before Saban retired, there were some people that I trust telling me, hey, man, this is 50-50. And I heard that consistently from people that worked in different places or somebody here. But it was always the same. It doesn't happen a lot on the recruitment, but it was pretty much the same thing, lock and step. Hey, man, this is 50-50. This could go either way. It's Bama Auburn. And I continue to kind of hear that same thing. So it's going to be fun to see. I think that Hugh Freeze getting that last visit will be crucial. And I would look at that and say, I think that there might be a reason for that, right? Hugh knows what he's doing.
His commitment date, Brad, is his signing day is February 9th. He's signing on his birthday, the same day his dad signed with Auburn.
Mm.
So, look, I heard something 2 months ago about this recruitment, and I'm not putting it out there, but I've talked with a couple people, and I think Auburn sits in a nice place. I said it a couple episodes ago. I thought he would take the visit to Texas, and I didn't think Alabama was really in it anymore. But I think he does have a passion for Alabama. I think he does love Alabama, but I think Saban retiring, man, I think that hit a little harder for him, and And then you got to think, man, like I said earlier, Holman Wiggins, T-Rob leaving, that probably took a big hit. And just taking, a surprise one night Monday trip to meet the coaching staff and then a visit. I mean, did he strengthen a relationship there? Did he make a relationship? Like, you've met the guys twice, and like, is that a strong enough bond? Because we've heard relationships matter, right? So I don't know. It's an Alabama Auburn. It's an Alabama Auburn decision. Texas A&M, it's not happening. I don't think Texas A&M is in this. If Texas ain't in it, then Texas A&M ain't in it. All right, that's the way I'm looking at it. So it is February 9th. It's his birthday. And in the same day his dad signed with Auburn. So like, I know that for a fact. South Carolina just beat Kentucky. Wow, my parlay hurts. But yeah, look, Ryan, just stay patient with it. If he comes, it's program changing. If he doesn't, he's going to Alabama. We're going to have to play against him for the next 3 years. So get ready. Hopefully he George Pickens them. So that would be great.
Right. Hugh Freeze. 251 Alaskan Aubrey says Hugh Freeze has that swag with these young recruits. He just gets it. I think he gets Williams. He's not leaving the state. You can bet on that. Yeah. And I trust Hugh Freeze, and we'll just see how it goes. But I agree with Blake 100% in the fact that this is a guy that you can't just give up on. He's program changing. We've already brought in the best wide receiver class we've ever had. So I like where we sit, and it's just going to be. It's gonna be fun one way or the other, bro. It's gonna be one of those where, unless some kind of info drops a couple of hours before, which does sometimes happen in a big time recruitment, we might be sitting there when he goes to put with them two hats on the table. We might not really know, right? It might be one of those, which is rare nowadays. You pretty much kind of know which way it's going to go. February 9th, the whole state of Alabama is going to be sitting there, maybe kind of waiting to see how it goes. So I look forward to it. Like I said, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Blake, you got anything before we get out of here?
I'll just touch on Brad's last comment, and that can kind of be my closing up deal, closing thoughts. And I'll just say this, Brad, like, everybody says that Saban's hanging around. My deal with that, is that enough to keep him? I just don't. What does Saban do with hanging around? Like, that's my thing. When DeBoer loses a game, how is that going to work? Is Saban going to be at his office door and being like, "Hey, man, you shouldn't have lost.
Right.
You shouldn't have lost to Missouri at home, brother." So like, how does that work? What, baby? Dad. Okay, hold on. I'm almost done. So sorry, y'all. My daughter just come in here. So like, how does that work, man? I don't think that meshes well. And I think, like, we've already heard that the whole stadium, office inside the stadium and everything, I just don't believe any of that. I'm sorry, I'm out on it. Yeah, and Pat Dye hung around. He did, and it.
My dad was always telling me about how it wasn't good for Auburn that he did.
Exactly. So I don't know though. War damn, y'all.
Yes, sir. War damn Eagle. Hey, our members, be on the lookout. Content could be dropping anytime in that news feed. We got that. We got the Iron Bowl on the court tomorrow. Like I said, we got the live stream coming up Saturday, so y'all be on the lookout. And we will be back Friday, special recruiting episode. If you are we're for the new members, if you have a Twitter, because we're adding new members, but they're not we're not adding anybody new to the chat. So I'm sure some of y'all do have a Twitter. Get at me and Blake. Our handles are right there. We'll get you in that game day group chat for the Twitter, so you can kind of keep updated on all the stuff going on. We appreciate all y'all. We love all y'all. We'll be back Friday with a recruiting episode, 10 a.m. War Damn Eagle. We'll see y'all then.
War damn, baby.